Merhaba.
Sevgili misafirlerimiz ve sayın konuklarımız, şimdi İstanbul Buyukada'da keşfedilen ve restorasyonu yapılan bir eserin hikayesinde bir Bizans hazinesi keşfedildi ve yeniden doğdu paneli kapsamında çok değerli konuklarımızla birlikte olacağız. Selanik Aristotle Üniversitesi Tarih ve Archaeology Bölümü Bizans Arkeolojisi ve Sanat Profesörü Sayın Athanasios Semoglou, ORMILIA Vakfı Bilimsel Direktörü Sayın Dr. Theodoros Karagiannis, VENIS Stüdios Başkanı, kıdemli uzman tarihi sanat eserleri ve eski eserler konservatörü ve restoratörü Sayın Venizelos Gavrilakis, VENIS Stüdios Direktörü, Güzel Sanatlar, Tarihi Eserler Restoratörü ve Konservatörü Sayın Byukada Karagiannis.
Merhaba. I would like to thank the conference organization for our invitation to 7th HERITAGE ISTANBUL conference, and then everybody helped our participation and our talk from Expo. I would like to thank you, all of you that came today to our talk. I would like to thank Mr. Karagiannis, Scientific Director for ORMILIA Foundation, and Mr. Athanasios, Professor of Byzantine Archaeology in the Department of History and Archaeology of Aristotle University of Thessaloniki for their contribution to their scientific analysis of the history and official dating of the icon. Also, all the team and members of VENIS Studios that participate in the conservation and restoration of this important icon. A Byzantine treasure discovered in Reborn, a unique bilaterally Byzantine icon, Panagia Eleoussa, which VENIS Studios had discovered and conserved and restored last year. It's a unique masterpiece of 14th and 16th century. It belongs to the Metropole Church of Panagia Eleoussa in Buyukada, in Precisely. I used to call this icon the Byzantine monolith. Our talk has three parts: the history, symbolism, and description of the dating of icon, the scientific analysis of the icon, and the conservation and restoration treatment of the icon. And the end of our talk is to follow questions from the audience. A Bilateral Byzantine icon by Athanasios Semoglou. The bilateral icon from the Panagia Eleoussa Church in Buyukada, or Principles and Priestess Isa, has on its principal face in a golden background the representation of the Panagia holding the Christ as child in the type of the Eleoussa, with her head slightly inclined towards Christ and with the inscription naming her as Eleoussa, the Mercy. She is flanked by the bust of two venerating archangels in the two upper corners. Panagia wears a light brown mafoil with gold beads, gold fringe on the right arm, and a gold band at the edge of it. At the level of the neck, white deep blue tight sleeves with gold bands on both ends tighten her tunic at the wrist and of her hands. Three gold stars also decorate the mafoil embroidery crosswise, one on her forehead and two others on her shoulders, symbolic representation of the Holy Trinity of the Immaculate Conception of the Virgin Mary. The infant Christ, in her arms, who turns towards his mother, holds a closed straw with his left hand while blessing with his right. He has his legs crossed while his arm tied upside down, sandal hanging from his right foot is a common element, the topos. In the iconography of such schemas, mainly the icons of the Virgin of Tenderness, Panagia Eleoussa, as a symbolic foreshadowing of his future passion, Christ wears a light gray shirt with white lights decorated with floral motifs, purple straps with gold state hematome. All the figures wear symbols golden halos decorated with sinews, steps in imitation of the Byzantine metal ones, and mainly those of the Paleolithic period. The hell of Christ bears the shape of the cross inscribed. The other side of the icon is decorated with the scene of its getting into hate. In the middle of the composition and in a rocky landscape, Christ is depicted in an elegant almond-shaped glory, with a triple gradation of blue from light to dark, with a scroll in his left hand and Patriarch cross in his right, stepping on the broken gates of Hades. He wears a towering gold stud himation, while the right back part of his garment, the right conveys his impetuous movement. An angel bearing the symbol of the Passion is depicted to the right and behind the mountain peak. Two crowded groups are depicted on either side of Christ, affixing the principal axis of symmetry of the scene. On the right are depicted the protoplast Adam and Eve, kneeling and behind back Abel with the shepherd stuffed together with other unidentified figures awaiting the resurrection within the diagonal placed sarcophagus. On the left stand out in the first row the prophets David and Solomon with John the Prophet. Between them, further back, another king is depicted, perhaps Ezekias or Josias, according to the words of Macarius Chrysostomos. In his homily on the resurrection of Christ, only Christ and John the Prophet carry halos and even gold. Beneath the prophets and in the lower parts on the composition on the left, the domus of the icon is represented kneeling, clinging from the salvation of his soul. He has a long hair and wears a green cloth with cuffs and the wrist. The golden background is limited to the upper part of the icon and even occupies a small area due to the rocky scenery. The inscription in capital letter on the right, the Adeptus to Anastasis, the Holy Anastasis of Christ, which belongs to the second post-Byzantine phase of the work, identifies the scene. The history and dating of the icon. The military icon of Panagia Eleoussa presents the icon of the Panagia Eleoussa with its icon on the one side accompanied by the inscription Eleoussa, the Mercy, and on the reverse side the scenes of Anastasis in the Byzantine type of the scale indicates. Although the depiction of Panagia Eleoussa is common for the military icons, nevertheless it's combined with the composition of the scale indicates. That's a unique case in a historical film, such a type icon. Generally, the representation of the scale indicates is not often found in the military icons. The only example known to date comes from an icon in the monastery of St. Catherine in Sinai, which dates from the 13th century. It was used in the Holy Week's liturgy and probably addressed to Latin audience. The icon, as we can see, has a hole in the lower part, a residue, from the application of support, which leads us to the conclusion that it must have been an icon of possession, litany. However, the combination of the descending behaves, in example the resurrection of Christ with Panagia Eleoussa, likely reinforces funerary character and function of the work, while the presence of the orange donor portrayed in the scenes of the skeleton behaves leads us to the hypothesis that initially it could not be a procession icon, as the public display of donors was usually avoided during the procession. The icon, however, seems to have two distinct phases, one later and one earlier. The later one dates from around the middle of the 16th century and concerns the representation of the Birmingham side, as it is resulted from the strongest geometric and stylized drapery of hermaphroditism. The early phase of the icon refers to the composition of the descending behaves, but only on the left side, on its reverse, the stylistic difference mainly in the modeling of the face, with the one on the left heavy dark undercoat with small white lights creating a pictorial effect, while this on the right is distinguished for a brighter undercoat, and the harder and much more luminous light, as well as the different pigment between the two sides of the icon testify to the chronological distance. Similar, the letter of the inscription, Isus Christos, on either side of the glory of Christ, attests to overpainting aiming of unifying the two different phases. Regarding the deity of the oldest layer of the icon, we have to note that in addition to the technical and stylistic features mentioned above, additional information is provided by both the iconography and the representation of the donor and his costume reference. The young donor with the long hair is depicted kneeling under the king's prophet, praying for the resurrected Christ, wearing a green garment that fastened around the neck and with tight cuffs around the wrist. Both his clothing and his portrait future reference depict depiction of Constantine aristocrats of the late Byzantine period of the 13th and 14th century. Perhaps the choice of the position of the founder in the scenes directly below the prophets, kings on the right side, the price apart from the obvious soteriological content of their placement among those sitting on the right hand of the father, is aligned with the social position and status of Donald himself. On the other hand, the dark-colored, delicate code of the faces of the prophets King Solomon and David, and the special of John the Baptist, with a subtle light reinforced the Byzantine dating of the initial phases of the work, and probably during the Paleolithic period in the 14th century. We have also to notice the impression that is also made by the stylistic difference in the execution of the face of the founder in relation to the faces of the saints participating in the composition. In the first case, both the light-handed code as well as the clothing are obviously intended to emphasize the individual characteristic of the depicted. Finally, it is worth mentioning the extremely rare iconography of the resurrection with Christ not retrieving either Adam or Eve from their sarcophagus in an almost front position with a slight counter movement, which refers to the Middle Byzantine so-called hymnological or dogmatic type of resurrection. The painter of the icon, therefore, is adopting the Byzantine iconography by adding the cross of resurrection that Christ holds in his right hand and perhaps is throwing in his left, if and as long as the upper painting followed the original shape, innovation on an iconographic level. Thanks a lot. Now, Mr. Theodoros Karagiannis will follow with a technical analysis of the icon.
I'm going to cover the subject of the Byzantine treasure from a more technical perspective. One background introduction about the foundation is that we specialize in non-destructive testing of artworks. So this the part of our work here was mainly non-destructive testing techniques and the software perspective that I'm going to present now. The first identification was to identify the color of the icons, so we developed a color correction algorithm to see the original color of these icons. This process is carried out to eliminate the external factors affecting the color. These external factors are mainly outside light sources. So when we photograph the icons, this photography must be carried out using a uniform lighting and mainly in terms of brightness. Then we must have an additional step in the photographing reference colors, which recap the entire visible spectral region. What this algorithm does is that it takes reference of the RGB colors through color values obtained through spectroscopy, and then a color correction is performed according to this procedure here. First, we create a transformation matrix from photographing color to the real through the reference colors calculated. The reference colors, we photograph the reference colors from a reference control placket that I'm going to show next. So we take n reference colors, a number of reference colors, and we create the matrix corresponding to the RGB values, red, green, and blue values from photography, while there is a corresponding matrix C corresponding to the RGB values measured by a spectroscopy. Then we calculate the transformation matrix via this linear interpolation. We take an average error of less than 20 with a maximum value of 255, and this would be considered a satisfactory average error. And finally, the final step is that this algorithm is applied to each pixel of the photograph to produce the true color representation. Here are the original images, photographed under a uniform lighting source. Then we place the color reference plackets, which can be seen in the upper sides and down sides, where we have some numbers of reference colors. These reference colors obviously have specific RGB values. They are printed as prototypes, and then we perform the algorithm described previously, and we get a true color result. These corrected images pose and are photographed in the original color. Another technique that was used in the analysis of these icons was optical microscopy. We took optical microscopy samples from various parts of the icons in order to emerge traces of the color pigments, to see the varnish technique, the preparation techniques, and in order to identify color pigments. These samples are from gold, gold samples with varnish preparations. The same technique was performed in the secondary icon only, which again are gold samples with the varnish preparation, and mainly this technique was used to identify how the varnish was applied to the icon and how the preparation was done. If there are any questions, I can answer them now. That's it for me. Thank you. Now, Venizelos Gavrilakis.
We would like to thank Mr. Theodoros Karagiannis for his talk and all these things that said about the scientific analysis about the icon. So now we're continuing to the conservation part of the icon. The Byzantine phase was discovered in Reborn. The icon of Panagia Eleoussa of the 14th-16th century from Buyukada or Politis, one of the princess islands in Istanbul, is an exceptional case of a portable master artwork that has undergone multiple treatments and aesthetic intervention over time. The distressed military icon that was painted on both sides of the wooden support is considered interesting not only from the scientific point of view in terms of Byzantine and post-Byzantine art history, but also from the point of view of the science of conservation and restoration. This was a special challenge for the team of conservators and scientists at VENIS Studios. Conservation is an act of preserving our cultural historical heritage with traditional techniques and modern methods which saves all the information and historic testimony that the icon has carried through the century. During the first phase of examination of the icon, the silver icon reversion was removed. The silver reversion dates back to 1750. The unique 16th century icon of Panagia Eleoussa was revealed. Under the silver reversion, coins and silver votive offerings of the faithful from different time periods were discovered. Among them was a gold coin which belongs to the period of Sultan Mahmud II, ruled 1839. All these finds were researched, examined, and restored alongside the icon. After removing the front silver reversion, the back metal bronze protective case was removed. This revealed a unique Byzantine icon. The descent into Hades. After the completion of the restoration clinic, the descent into Hades, two different time periods of its creation were revealed, the 14th century and the 16th century, as well as various rescue interventions, repairs that had been made from the 16th century up to the most recent period. In order to investigate the state of the preservation of the icon, physicochemical work began by the Thessaloniki Foundation and the scientific director of the center, Mr. Theodoros Karagiannis. The government physicochemical research for the samples were taken from various areas of the icon from both sides. In this way, it was possible to study the stratigraphy, identify the pigment, the gold leaf, and other construction materials from various parts, mainly the face of the light of pigment, in the other coats, in the background, and the frame itself. All this sampling was done in order to study the colors that painter used, the construction technique, and even the protective varnish, and certify the exact dating of the image on both sides. Special deterioration photography was used such as UV photography detects several surface changes, past restoration, mirror integration, and overpaintings, which were discernible upper dark. Infrared photography, an attempt to identify the material used due to the degree of differentiation of the material, pigment, and observe difference in the chemical composition of them. Also to study the primary sketch pattern of the design. Three-dimensional RTI photography and the creation of the 3D digital model in order to identify and document the pathology of the icon and any difference between the initial icon and the later integration. Black and white photography provides the possibility to study the design of both painted sides of the icon. The linear illustration of damage in the painted surface provides us with data on the type and degree of damage. First, it was considered urgent to consolidate the painting surface, color layers, and the gesture preparation in all cases of moderate or bad state of preservation with internal solution, pulverization, etc. This was the first rescue operation of the icon. This was followed by the consolidation of the wooden support, which was in a state of disintegration and needed immediate strength and stabilization. For this reason, apparently the back of the icon was covered in the 20th century, in order to ensure or avoid further and complete destruction of the wooden support by wood-eaten insects. At the same time, it was possible to assess the degree of preservation of the original painting and the extent of the overpainting. The ultimate goal of the conservation was to preserve the wooden support, given that icon had ample variation in aesthetic intervention and carpentry work in two different periods. At the same time, the extension consolidation of the wooden support was carried out in order to deal with the loss of its mechanical strength. Treatment of the damage caused by the wood-eaten insect involved not only the use of a suitable non-toxic insecticide solution, but also consolidation through the use of injection. A great concern of VENIS Studios was the detailed consolidation of the painting surface and the preparation to save the entire original painting surface and the historical nature of the icon. Indicatively, during the conservation, many corroded metal nails that had been nailed into the icon causing damage were removed. The completion of the consolidation of the painting surface, the gesture preparation, and the wooden support were followed by the cleaning of the painting surface on both sides from the multi-oxidized varnish, deposit of soot, and other contaminates, oils, and waxes. Specifically on the face of the descending heads, after the completion of the cleaning, the two different periods of construction, parts of the painting were clearly revealed. The conservator, as an art doctor, systematically utilized the external microscope in order to zoom in and reveal the details of the color surface, preparation, and substrate. This was also done to study the varnish, the protective resin that had been applied by the painter during the creative phase or later. The unveiling of the original icon was the main goal of the surface mechanical and chemical cleanings that followed. These cleanings were done with organic solvent in order to reveal the original iconography representation of the Panagia Eleoussa and its chemical behavior. The purpose was to remove deposits, atmospheric pollutants, salts, other pollutants, oxidation or later color additional integration that recovered the original hydrographic painting. The result of the cleaning work indicates that two different periods are preserved in the scenes of the Byzantine behavior. The original one of the 14th century and the second one of the 16th century. During the cleaning part of the legal inscription was revealed in the lower left part of the 14th century icon. Special photography were taken on digital processors so that it could be studied in depth. Given the great historical importance and the high aesthetic value of the icon, conservation ethics had to be strictly adhered to. First, the digital restoration was carried out in order to decide the degree of retouching, as well as the method should be used. The retouching restoration was carried out with respect to the principle of the reproducibility of restoration action, the compatibility of restoration material, and the principle of minimal possible innovation without overlapping with the painting's original course and design. The retouching restoration were deemed necessary was done with strict restoration criteria. Following a museum-level retouching restoration, the Italian trapezoid Latino technique was chosen in which the color complement is distinct from close distance, while it is unified from the far. The retouching restoration was done with watercolors of the highest fine grain size according to the strictest international quality standard. During the final conservation phase, the icon was varnished on both sides, protected from the harmful radiation for waterproofing, protection, and prevent conservation. In conclusion, as confirmed by the Byzantine art historian professor Athanasios Semoglou, the icon was originally created in the 14th century when the discarded heads and the Panagia Eleoussa were painted. It is a military possession icon. Over the years, the icon was dismembered and destroyed, and the right part of the discarded head was lost along with the parts of the Christ as a sign from the side of the Panagia Eleoussa. In the surviving part of the icon, during the 16th century, the following rest conservation operation took place. The complete part of the wooden support was added to obtain the original part of the icon, and the faces with composition of the discarded heads was complete according to the iconographic and stylistic standard of the period. However, on the side with the Panagia Eleoussa, due to the obvious destruction of the original painting, the Panagia Eleoussa was completely painted in the 16th century. So on, from we have the Panagia Eleoussa from the 16th century, and on the back the discarded heads from both the 14th and the 16th century. In other words, we have two distinct phases of the execution of the icon and an important ancient testimony of the integration of conservation in order to save and preserve this important historical artifact. With the completion of the conservation and restoration operation, the icon of the Panagia Eleoussa was preserved for the future, and along with it, all the priceless spiritual, historical, social, and artistic messages it conveys. The science and art of conservation and restoration hit the problem and damage and save the masterpiece of historical and culture. The team of conservators and scientists of VENIS Studios who contributed to the rebirth of this extraordinary artwork met its creators through their scientific work, studied them, researched them, and rescued them from oblivion brought about by neglect and the ravage of time. This record of both the work and its creators is reflected on the preserved unique masterpiece, the icon of the Panagia Eleoussa. This icon, despite all its hardship, with the help of conservative scalpel, managed to survive through the century, from Byzantium to the 21st century, to continue its life into the future. Thanks a lot for your attention. And now, following the question, any question that you have from all the three parts of the speaking about the icon. Okay, so if there is any question, who would say thank you to all of you and close here our talk. Thanks a lot again.